lost it.
And if you can't get that because they won't give it you, or they've lost it, or they lose the tape of the hearing so they haven't got it there...
You can't appeal it?
Then you can't appeal it.
Well, by law, you cannot appeal a decision that's been lost.
Let's be slightly different. No. By law, you can't... In a sense, you can appeal for not having reasons as well. But there is a tendency to administratively reject the application. When I say, you go to the office and you say, here's my papers. They say, where's the order? Where's the judgment? You say, we haven't got the judgment. They say, go away.
So they're basically insuring themselves. I'm suggesting that were it to be the case that they had deliberately lost these documents,
well, that prevents appeal,
that would be insuring themselves against appeal. It's appeal-proof.
Yeah, it makes it very difficult to appeal. We've tried to get that to the European Court on that basis.
And especially as you know that the solicitor who officially acted under legal aid for the parents, has also... I mean, I think that solicitor should be struck off.
I think so, yeah. But the actual member of staff left the firm.
Well, so what?
Yeah, I know, but he should be found and
the papers are still there, aren't they?
Well, yeah, but they won't give the parents a copy of them. But we come back to this point. In theory, there are checks and balances. One of the checks and balances are from the FPC, the Family Proceedings Court. You can appeal to the county court. Generally, the FPC is not too bad because they will write notes out. But in the county court and the high court, you need a judgment to go to the Court of Appeal. And the first game they have is no judgment. So you won't get legal aid to take it to the Court of Appeal, and you can't get a judgment. It traps people, doesn't it? So
it's catch-22.
It's catch-22. When you encounter somebody who's been through this process, you find they have boxes, maybe like 10,000 sheets of paper, most of which repeats assertions like you let your baby play on the mat with the wrong baby and things like that. And what happens is that in all of that you don't have the judgments. So they're quite clever in the way they handle it, that people don't get the judgments. And as soon as I know that somebody has not been given the judgments, I know something iffy's going on. All right? So it's very straightforward. If anyone comes to me, I say, get your orders and get your judgments. They almost always have the orders, but not the judgments. The orders are what you've got to do. So
are the courts legally obliged to give a written copy of the judgment to the parents?
Sort of. As in, they're not really. As in, a lot of these people are on benefits, so you can apply for the public funding to provide the judgment, but it is actually quite difficult.
Is there a cost associated with it?
There's a cost associated with it.
Well, how much? £30 or something?
No, but we're having a big struggle, for instance, getting a judgment from the Court of Appeal at the moment of a case. And I think that's because they would want us not to be able to send it to the European Court.
Where's the natural justice in that?
Well, where's the justice in it, natural or otherwise?
Well,
There's no
OK, where is the justice in that?
There's no justice. And we've been trundling around, because I've got a number of judgments in the past. We know who does it, and so we're emailing them saying, where's the judgment? They're hoping that they manage to stop us having the judgment for 6 months so we can't take it to the European Court, because the deadline on the European Court is 6 months.
Can you extend it because of the lack of judgment?
Well, we might apply to the European Court on the basis that they won't give us the judgment.
I think that's very wise.
But obviously...
well, I don't have an opinion, of course.
You don't have any opinion, no. You can't allow opinions.
No, absolutely
You're
not.
a presenter.
Absolutely.
Presenters have to sit there and look nice.
Well, I don't know if I manage that even, John, but it's very kind of you to say so.
Anyway, so that's the judgment game. The judgment game is the way that the judges and the lawyers prevent people from actually challenging what they're doing.
It does seem to me that that's unfair.
It's very unfair. We had a saga up in Liverpool where it took us 2 years, I think, to get a judgment.
You also mentioned just now that a lot of these people are on benefits.
Yeah.
Is it that people on benefits are easy prey for social services to take their children?
I think they are easier prey, yeah.
So if you are, I don't know, in a good job or middle class or upper class or wealthy, your children don't get snatched. Well, no matter how
still
evil a parent you are.
They do sometimes as well with other people. Nobody's actually immune from it. And obviously at times children do need to be taken into care. Let's not, this is, I'm criticising the bad practice. There is good practice as well.
I think most people would agree that there must be occasions, of course. I mean, there are bad parents out there who don't have their children's best interests at heart.
But we need to sort out the bad practice, because in itself, if you've got all this bad practice, it poisons the system.
Are you saying then that the system is irredeemably poisoned?
I don't know how poisoned it is, but one of the problems you've got, if you get the saga where it gets such a traumatic environment that people are voting with their feet and losing the job. So because it's such a traumatic environment, people are bullied by the managers into taking children who don't need to be taken, and it drives people out. And then we get people come across from America who have just graduated, go work for agencies to fill in as locum jobs. And that doesn't help either. So somebody comes from America. We had the story in the papers over the weekend in the Daily Mail. Graduates from America come in, sent out to take babies off people, you know, straight away. It's not really right.
Well, it's not right simply because they come from America.
I know, but
you know, they're human beings as well, after all.
But people vote with their feet. They don't want to do it.
You mean the people who are here?
They don't want to do it. So they
because why? Because they get abused, or because they think it's wrong, or
both
distressing?
Both of these things. I kept having social workers coming to me, finding it very distressing, and they don't want to do it. They wouldn't come and talk to me about it otherwise.
OK, well, let's ask the social workers who have taken children, who know cases like this. Get onto our forum on www.edgemedia.com and let us know about these things.
Yes. But it isn't good for anybody.
Go to John Hemming's blogspot, which is johnhemming.blogspot.com, and tell John Hemming.
Yeah. There's a lot more I can say.
Well, I think you should say it, John. Well, now you've got 9 minutes and 12 seconds.
9 minutes and 12 seconds. Well, the first thing is this. It's worth looking at it, how to fight the system. If you can, emigrate. Right? So in other words...
You can't fight the system, you have to leave the country.
No,
Is that what
I think if you're in a position to emigrate, that's the best way of fighting.
But they can get your children abroad, we know that.
No, they can't if you haven't got a court order. That's the point. The first thing is this, is if somebody is in a situation where they can emigrate, because obviously it's very difficult for people. You know, Marianne Key's trying to emigrate, but trying to get away from the system. She got her kids back. She's trying to get out of the country because it's unsafe in this country. And she doesn't want to go.
Because they've got it in for her now.
Well, she's out of the north. She was in Northumberland, in Hexham, same place as Fran Lyon, you see.
And Hexham's a black spot, is it?
Well, there are different problems in different
Hexed
areas.
in Hexham.
Yeah, in different areas that have different problems. There's a lot of Munchausen syndrome by proxy in the northeast, rather. So.
Well, there isn't, of course.
But there isn't, of course.
But I mean, you wouldn't have a hot spot of that, would you?
No, you wouldn't have a hot spot of that. But because it's all secret, you don't know. Oh, suddenly there's lots of Munchausens in the Royal Victoria Infirmary, but nowhere else, you know.
So, for people who don't know what Munchausen syndrome by proxy is...
Well, Munchausen syndrome is where somebody invents illnesses in themselves. Munchausen syndrome by proxy is where you invent illness in a child.
And then you medicate it, and that causes harm.
Now, again, like many of these things, there's a nub of truth in the middle of it all. It sometimes happens.
It must be vanishingly rare, mustn't it?
It's rare, but it does happen. And there are things like, if somebody has Munchausen's, that does not mean that they have Munchausen syndrome by proxy.
No.
So it's like all of these things. Shaken baby syndrome. Babies do get shaken. It does cause brain damage. The question is, what's the evidence to show that it is true? Do you see what I mean? So
yes.
MSBP, FII happens. But you need proper evidence. And it has to be research-based. It can't be, oh, I feel like that one today. And you've got to look at the conflicts of interest. You can't have people...
Well, you're not suggesting that the social services, children's services are going eeny, meeny, miny, mo, Munchausen syndrome by proxy.
It comes out from people sometimes being hypersensitive on something and thinking... You know, sometimes,
like ritual child abuse, like